Hello, 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 hello. Test for levels, as our old friend Dave Scalish used to say. Test for level, test for level. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. Ladies and gentlemen, the Thursday poll question at Smerconish.com. What is most to blame for the escalation of immigration related protests? The protesters, the president, the media. Initially, I said which, then TC said who, and then I asked chat and I said, grammatically speaking, should it be which or who? And chat came back and said, why don't you make it what? And that's how we got the poll question today. What is most to blame for the escalation of immigration related protests? The protesters, the president, or the media? Great news from the team at Play Gun Lake online casino and sportsbook app. You can live bet while you watch all the action. Live betting is better on the Play Gun Lake online casino and sportsbook app for you Michiganders. Detroit baseball rolling along. You've got pro golf. Oh boy, Oakmont. I was watching them cut the lawn in Oakmont for this weekend's tourney. The pro basketball, hoops, hockey, everything's going on at this time of year. It's a great time of year. Live bet on all the action while you're watching and take advantage of all those hot online slots that have been added. The Big Easy, Panda Queen, Rake and Bacon Odyssey, Medusa's Golden Gaze, Space Invaders, Roulette. They have everything on this app. The only sports betting app and online casino app that I ever use and recommend for you Michiganders. It is Play Gun Lake, blackjack, roulette, poker, craps, all the hot online slots, all the fun stuff, and $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. That bonus has to be wagered. Go to playgunlake.com. Download the app right now. Enjoy all the action and excitement from the casino right at your fingertips. You've got to be 21 and in Michigan for Play Gun Lake online casino and sportsbook app. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay, a lot of voting yesterday. Holy smokes, for a Wednesday, for a weekday, 38,343. 38,343. And what was the issue that attracted so much interest? It was this. What level of coverage should the media afford the U.S. Army's 250th birthday parade? The leader of the pack, 39.3% who said minimal. I don't agree with that, by the way. 28.87%. That's yours truly. I was among those who said moderate. 23.39%. Really? 23.39% said none. None. I worded it in a way to make it hard for you to vote against President Trump in this instance because I didn't put his name in it. But of course, we all know that there's this dual purpose. It's the 250th birthday of the Army. We learned from Alex Eisenstadt, there was to be a celebration. Was it going to be of this magnitude? No. But these events have been planned, some of them for longer than the 4 or 5 months that Donald Trump has been president of the United States. So the way I worded it, I made it all about the Army, and still 23.39% said no, none. What percentage said give it extensive coverage? 8.44%. 8.44%. And today's poll question, which relates to the protests, I think is directly related to the question about Saturday and the coverage, because the protests will continue through Saturday for sure. And Saturday, there is this No Kings protest being planned for all across the country. So the confluence of these factors makes Saturday a big day, makes Saturday a big day in terms of perhaps there being a bit of chaos. Hope not. Hope everything is peaceful. And Los Angeles was peaceful last night, for the most part. So that's a good thing. But Saturday looms large. Saturday definitely looms large. I know I'm going to discuss it on Saturday on CNN. I don't know what CNN's coverage has planned. I know that Fox is all in. I know that Newsmax is all in. I also recognize that if things get out of hand and draw a lot of protesters, actually those are not definitely, related. There might be a lot of protesters without things getting out of hand. Wouldn't that be great? But I think the larger the protest in D.C., the greater likelihood the pickup. The conventional broadcast networks, ABC, CBS, NBC, they're not going to deal with it. They're not going to break from their normal programming. But it's big. It's big. Okay. And today's poll question, which I teased yesterday and frankly the day before, because it was 2 days ago, I guess. I think it was Tuesday that I came on and I said, Monday night, I was doing my read in. I was writing a commentary for radio and I was monitoring, what was going on in Los Angeles via a live shot that was constant, on a loop. They were just showing what was going on in LA. And I am taking a little bit of credit for making this observation because now others are doing likewise. But I kept wanting the camera to be pulled back because I couldn't tell how many people really were involved in LA. It was always a tight shot, and it was a shot that was showing the thin line between law enforcement and the protesters, with journalists sandwiched in between in some instances. And I kept wanting to see an aerial perspective to know how many we were really talking about. It was in the few hundreds, and I'm not minimizing their concerns. I'm just making an observation about the media projecting this as if far more people were involved. And I was thrilled to watch a CNN panel discussion yesterday. I wish I could remember the name of the guest, an African-American female. She gets a lot of time on CNN, and she was making the point. This was during Casey Hunt's show, so it was yesterday afternoon, and she was making the point that she had just flown in from LA, must have taken a red eye, and she said, "Look, I was there, and it's a very contained area." And similarly, Mayor Bass said, we are 502 square miles, and 1 square mile is where we've imposed a curfew. And Gavin Newsom has made those points as well. Again, not to minimize what's going on within that 1 square mile, but I'm tipping my hand as to how I'm voting on today's poll question. Today's poll question asks, what is most to blame? What is most to blame for the escalation of immigration-related protests? The protesters, the president, or the media? I'm certain, based on yesterday's result and other recent poll results at Smerconish.com, that most are going to select the president. I'm picking the media. I'm picking the media. And I recognize that my perception might be a little dated, because even if you remove the cameras of the media in the social media world in which we live via TikTok, via YouTube, maybe the same contagion is going to take place. That people are going to all have their phones, and when others see what's going on, they likewise want to come out in their communities. Nevertheless, I'm picking the media. Maybe I include social media in what I'm talking about. Here's page one. I'm holding this up for the benefit of those watching me on YouTube. Page one, New York Times today. Trump could send troops to more cities as protests expand. And if I go to the jump page of the Times coverage, again, on the question of the expansion, there's a paragraph which says, protesters have gathered in a growing number of cities across the country, including Atlanta, Austin, Texas, Boston, Chicago, Dallas, Denver, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, New York, Minneapolis, Philadelphia, Santa Ana, San Antonio, San Francisco, and Seattle. So that the protests are growing is unquestionable, undeniable at this stage. And I'm asking, why is that the case? The media is one option. That's what I'm selecting. The president, you can say it's because of him sending in the National Guard without regard for Gavin Newsom's desire, having the 400 Marines on standby. He's the one who's escalated this. Or you could blame the protesters themselves for the escalation, because but for some of their conduct, maybe it would not have escalated in the way that it has. So those are your three choices. One or two other observations, if I may. Interesting to me how Gavin Newsom is distinguishing himself by the way in which he's taking on Donald Trump. I mean, I can't think of a Trump rival. No one's coming to mind, certainly not Kamala Harris, that has positioned themselves so well for 2028. I know it's early. Perish the thought that we're already going to start thinking about that. But I think that Newsom is emerging as like the person positioned to take on Donald Trump. Of course, it'll all be dependent upon how this ends. But I contrast his statement so far with Harris's statement last weekend, where she was not condemning of those who get out of hand at all. I think that Newsom has struck a balance in an appropriate way, and and also is getting under Trump's skin by now questioning his fitness and calling attention. I saw yesterday him calling attention to Trump's stumble up the steps of Air Force One. You know that happened, right? We had it in the newsletter, even though I haven't said much about it. So he's pushing all the buttons. He's pushing all the buttons is what I'm trying to say as this situation continues to have prominence. Final thought. There are other things going on in the world. They're all covered in today's Smerconish.com newsletter, not the least of which is this horrific plane crash in India. Godspeed to the folks on board. I fear the worst. I hope that I'm wrong. Coincidentally, we have a guest booked on radio today to talk about Nathan Fielder and The Rehearsal Season 2. I watched all 6 or 7 episodes of it on HBO Max. It's strangely presented by Fielder. I mean, that's the way that he is. But I can't help but wonder of his thesis, which is that poor cockpit communication is oftentimes to blame for these major airline catastrophes. By definition, it takes 2 pilots for his thesis to apply. And then you've got certain of our U.S. representatives, dignitaries, I'm struggling to find the right word, diplomats being brought out of the Middle East because such is the fear that Israel might initiate a strike against Iran. So there's a lot going on, a lot of very big things, big news going on. They're all in today's daily newsletter at Smerconish.com. Immigration, of course, continues to have much of our attention. And one other thing, if I may just say this, I am drafting a commentary, depending on the news cycle, that I'll deliver on CNN on Saturday, talking about a step forward and a path to citizenship. And I've been reading in on when was the last time that we really took a run at a path to citizenship. It was a decade ago. It was actually 2013. It was the Gang of Eight. It was John McCain and Democrats like Dick Durbin, who were carrying Chuck Schumer, carrying the laboring oar to try and give those who are here illegally and are not criminals a path that would have been about 13 years. That would have been about 13 years to get right with the law. And maybe I'm, what do they say, howling into the wind, but that's what I wish. That's what I wish would come out of this circumstance. I think it's an opportunity. Trump doesn't seem to be much interested in it, but it's an opportunity to provide a way out for the people who are here and to keep the border as secure as seemingly it is today. Go vote on the Thursday poll question at Smerconish.com. What is most to blame for the escalation of immigration-related protests? The protesters themselves, the president, or the media? Please like and subscribe and set yourself up for notifications. Thank you, gang.